In this How to Play video, we are going to be running through the Dark Angels Space Marine chapter in the Warhammer 40K universe. We shall be looking at the army and detachment rules available to the Dark Angels, as well as the enhancements and stratagems available to them. We shall look at how these enhancements and stratagems synergize with our top picks for the best units available to you with this index. And if you stay to the end, we will run you through our take on a competitive Dark Angels army list. Welcome to Vanguard Tactics. I am Jordan. I'm joined here with Jake. Jake, tell me about the army rule for the Dark Angels.
Well, Jordan, as a Space Marine, you get the Oath of Moment army rule.
Okay,
So this is something that all Space Marines get, no matter what chapter or faction or anything you are. This is what you get.
Cool.
So in your command phase, you pick a unit in your opponent's army, and while you target that unit with ranged or melee attacks until you start your next command phase, you can reroll all hits and wounds.
Oh, brilliant.
Very, very strong rule. So remember, this is something you get no matter what. Okay,
Right.
This is your baked-in army rule.
Nice.
Something that is different though is the detachment rule.
Okay.
So the Dark Angels specific one is called the Unforgiven Task Force.
What does this do?
It's got a very simple rule, and it's while an Adeptus Astartes unit from your army is battle shocked, change the objective control characteristics of this models in this unit to 1 rather than 0.
Okay, so it's increasing your ability to be able to hold objectives, right?
Yeah, so it's something that may not come up as often,
Yeah.
with Space Marines obviously having not, stereotypically a low model count.
Yeah.
Their leadership also being very good. So the fact of them being objective control 1 rather than 0 may not come up loads, but in these situations it could come up in versus modifiers or even in those clutch situations, it's good to know that you can still at least hold an objective.
Exactly.
So that's good. There is some caveats with this as well. So one of the restrictions is that your chapter must obviously be Dark Angels.
Right, yeah.
So thus meaning you can't have Ultramarine units in this. You're Dark Angels. You can't have any other chapters, right?
Sure.
So it's just something to note. So it also means you can include obviously the Dark Angel units as you can normally.
Right, yeah.
So your Lionel Johnsons, your Deathwing Terminators, all sorts, right?
Nice.
So yes, that is the main detachment rule.
Okay.
And with that comes stratagems and enhancements.
Oh, right. Well, it is important to note as well that you can take the Gladius Task Force with this army.
You can. So because you are a Space Marine faction, you can take the Gladius Task Force.
Okay.
Already on the surface for the detachment rule, the Gladius is already looking a lot better.
Yes.
Just for the the sort of Swiss Army knife of tactical play you have with it.
Exactly.
So already, if we were to look at a column of for and against, already on detachment rule alone, I'm sort of leaning a bit towards the Gladius.
Yeah, I'd agree.
However, we've got some stratagems and enhancements to talk about that may swing us the other way.
All right, well, shall we look into the enhancements next?
Yeah, let's do it.
But before we continue, I'd like to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, The Outpost. If you're looking for great deals on your miniatures, paints and gaming supplies, we've got you covered. Their wide variety of exceptional service makes them the go-to destination for all hobby needs. So don't wait, check out The Outpost today. Link in the description below.
Okay, Jake, so tell me about the first enhancement.
Happily. So it's the Shroud of Heroes.
Okay.
So Adeptus Astartes model only. The first time the bear is destroyed, you roll a dice. On a 2+, you can set that model back up as close as possible to where it died.
Right.
But it comes back with 3 wounds remaining. Note, it can't be in engagement range.
Right, okay.
However, if you were battle shocked when dying, you come back on 4 wounds rather than 3.
Okay, right. So we're seeing the synergy with the detachment rule, right?
Yeah. So as you're going to notice, there's a bit of a theme here, and that is being battle shocked.
Yeah.
Something that normally you don't want to be.
Yeah.
But I guess with some enhancements and some of the cool rules we have in the Dark Angels, they do get a bit of benefit for being battle shocked.
Yeah. Sure.
So already a great enhancement, I'd say, on a character that you really need to be able to stay alive, such as like, I don't know, maybe a Primaris Apothecary that could go in your unit Desolation Marines.
Yeah, sure.
Even like some of the captains or anything like that. That obviously allows some of your stratagems to become free.
Yes.
Having an enhancement like this so that you can't just be sniped out, as the term would be, is really, really useful. So I am a big fan of this one.
Okay, cool.
Another one I'm a big fan of is actually Stubborn Tenacity.
Ooh.
So this is Adeptus Astartes model only.
Right.
You get +1 to hit while you're leading a unit.
Okay.
If the unit is below starting strength.
Right.
And if that unit is battle shocked, you get +1 to wound as well. Oh, sorry, if the bearer's unit is battle shocked, not if the target is.
Right.
So again, another one of those enhancements where it has a good rule. So +1 to hit while they're shooting a unit below starting strength.
It's good.
Great.
Yeah.
And then that extra caveat, if your own unit's battle shocked, you get +1 to wound. Again, not a big fan of the fact I have to be battle shocked, but still a nice thing. It just means that if you are put in that weird situation of, let's say, in the charge phase, you're forced to take a battle shock check as an example, it now means that on that charge, you're getting +1 to wound, essentially.
True.
So again, really nice little ability there, but not something that I would see in every list.
No, I agree.
Something that can be maybe in every list, however, is the Penitent of Remembrance. Now, this is actually my favourite enhancement of the lot.
Oh, right, not period, just
no,
okay, right.
Just sorry, in this small little 4 enhancements, this one's my favourite,
right, sure.
So this is a bit different. It's not just any Adeptus Astartes model.
Right.
This is any ancient model. So to clarify, that would be banner bearers. So your Terminator Ancient, your Blade Guard Ancient, or a Primaris Ancient.
Yep.
And what this does is, while you're leading a unit, you give that unit 6+ feel no pain.
Okay, nice.
If the unit is battle shocked, however, you get a 4+ feel no pain.
Oh.
Now, really, really good.
Yep.
Especially on your Terminator Ancient and the big unit Terminators.
Yep.
Again, it's just that caveat of being battle shocked, but even just giving your unit a 6+ feel no pain is very useful. If you think for every 3 damage, you maybe could save 1, that could be a whole Terminator alive.
Yeah, true.
Especially with the Terminators with the shields that have a 4 wound profile. And let's say you've got the damage coming in, there's a chance that you can maybe save a whole Terminator. From it. So really, really solid little upgrade there. And then going on to the final one, we have the Heaven Fall Blade.
Okay.
This is a Adeptus Astartes model only. You get +1 strength, attack, and damage. And if you're battle shocked, you get +2 strength, attacks, and damage on your melee weapons.
Okay, right. So this one's nice if you have some spare points. You want to boost up a character in melee.
Yeah.
But
Primaris Captain, we're looking at you. Someone that can sort of, increase their damage profile even more.
Sure.
So you could just have 1 turn of just an absolute hit. But again, it's more of an enhancement I'd sort of look at if you are sort of, spare 1 point's got nothing
exactly
else to fit in.
Exactly.
But I'd more look at your sort of Stubborn Tenacity, Pendant of Remembrance, and Shroud of Heroes before you look at the Heavenfall.
Yeah, exactly. They seem okay. Again, the theme is we're building off this battle shock in the army.
Yeah, we've got the theme here. So if you notice, each one of these are better if you are battle shocked.
Yeah.
Which again is not something you really want to be. So I guess if you are forced to be it or something happens like that, it's nice to know you have a buff.
Exactly. But it's very niche, isn't it? And that's the thing.
Yeah. Overall, if I was to compare these to our equivalent in the Gladius, I'd probably say the Gladius does win out just for me. Just because you've got things like Bolter Discipline, and other sort of amazing sort of enhancements.
I'm with you on that, mate.
Mainly Bolter Discipline probably sits above all of these.
Even the Honor Vehement is good.
Honor Vehement
is good. I do think that the Gladius enhancements here trump these. Even just because if you're comparing the Detachment Rule and that, you're just getting straight buffs.
Yeah. But I do really like the Pendant of Remembrance. I just think the idea of having this on a Terminator Ancient, they could join maybe a unit of Deathwing Knights, which we are going to talk about.
Foreshadowing.
Yeah. So I just think having that just makes this unit so tough to shift, even just by having the 6+ feel no pain. If we disregard the 4+, and still just look at this from this is an upgrade that gives me a 6+ feel no pain.
Yeah.
I think it's really good.
Oh yeah, I'm in agreement with that. I think if you look at it as well, it's all Terminators like 3 wounds each, right? Potentially 4, I think, with their Storm Shields.
Yeah, that is correct.
So with a 6+ feel no pain, when damage 3 stuff is coming in, you're potentially mitigating that and saving an extra Terminator model.
Exactly that. And I think it's just so important to note that if you've got 4 damage attacks, which are very rare in 40k.
That's true.
In the game of Warhammer 40,000, then to be able to at least roll 1/6 out of those 4 to potentially take a whole extra damage on a Terminator. When you think about it, that Terminator's then taken 8 damage rather than 4. And if we just go into the little nuances of that, that's when it becomes super worth it.
Exactly. And let's say you play Chaos Knights.
Yeah,
you're
they're making you take it a lot.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, anyway, they seem decent enough.
They're all right, yeah.
Yeah, but should we move on to some stratagems next?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's take a moment to appreciate Colourforge, our fantastic sponsor. Their range of spray paints has become our go-to for making our miniatures come to life quickly and efficiently. The quality and variety of colours they offer are truly unmatched, providing a smooth application for stunning effects every time. Check out Colourforge for your next hobby project.
Okay, Jake, so what's the first stratagem you want to look at, mate?
So first one I'm going to talk about is one that actually has in common with the Gladius Task Force, and that is the Armour of Contempt. So if you're unfamiliar with what this does, your opponent's shooting or fight phase in which an enemy has selected you as a target.
Yep.
You pick one of the Adeptus Astartes units that were declared as a target of that attack, and until the end of the phase, each time an attack targets that unit, you worsen the AP characteristic armor penetration by 1. Really
Fantastic.
great. If you're a Space Marine fan or know anything about the Gladiators, you'll know how integral this is to a Space Marine army. So the fact that you get this in the Unforgiven Task Force is really, really nice.
Yep, 100%.
If I had to pick any of the strats out of it, it'd probably be this one that I'd like to have in here.
You are going to be using it so much.
Yeah.
In a game where AP is reduced massively, I think Armor Contempt is so good.
It's an extremely strong rule. Yeah,
Exactly.
I do agree.
Exactly. So yeah, nice.
So that's the only one they have in common.
Right.
So now the rest of these 5 are going to be unique to this Unforgiven Task Force.
Okay.
So we're going to go with Unforgiven Fury as the next one.
Or Sister.
So you pick your shooting phase or fight phase, one Adeptus Astartes unit that has not been selected to shoot or fight.
Okay.
Until the end of the phase, you gain lethal hits on your attacks.
Ooh.
However, if one or more Adeptus Astartes unit from your army are currently battle shocked, until the end of the phase, each time a model in your unit makes an attack, a successful unmodified hit roll of a 5+ scores a critical hit.
Okay.
Now, this is where it gets a bit techie. So this stratagem, so normally you can't use stratagems on units that are battle shocked, which is still the case here. But what it does mean is that if you do have another unit in your army that is battle shocked, you can use this for 1 CP.
Yeah.
Or you could use it anyway to give you lethal hits.
Yeah.
But it's better if you have a unit in your army that's battle shocked.
Yeah, exactly.
Now,
exactly.
Only issue with that is that it's very few and far between that could happen.
Exactly.
So at least it's giving you the bonus, but still having lethal hits 1 CP is quite good. It means that units like Desolation Marines or Stern Guard Veterans, an example, anything with bolters, even like the tanks, Masters, Black Knights, anything like that, just become a bit more deadly. And it's just that Brucey bonus if you do
exactly.
have a unit.
I think lethal hits is really strong. It's a really strong rule. It helps you against them vehicle armies, so your Terminators are going to hit much harder in combat.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think brilliant. I like it for 1 CP. That's really good.
Yeah, what is really nice as well is this is shooting and all fight phase.
Exactly.
It's not just locked to 1. I think if it was locked to 1, it would definitely feel a lot worse. But the fact you've got the versatility there is really helpful. So next we've got 1 CP Intractable.
Okay.
So this is your movement phase just after an Adeptus Astartes unit from your army has fallen back. You select that Adeptus Astartes unit, and that unit can shoot or charge. And charge even.
Okay, right, so if we're going to compare it to the Gladius, we're going to get the Tactical Doctrine.
Yeah, so you get 1 CP Tactical Doctrine here.
Cool.
Would it be better to be Tactical Doctrine? Would it be better just to put that unit in the Doctrine? Yes.
Yeah.
But at least it still has some versatility here.
Exactly.
At least we have this.
The option.
Yeah. Really great strat for 1 CP to be able to fall back and still act normally. It means that you're not going to had the jump on with any units that, if your opponent's fighting first, if they're defending units because it's in your turn, you're not going to be locked in there or getting hit.
Or you can fall back, do stuff on objectives, actions in that sense.
So much you can do here with it, and I think it's a great strat.
Yeah, really good.
Also a great strat, Fire Discipline, 1 CP. Your shooting phase, 1 Adeptus Astartes unit from your army that has not been selected to shoot. Until the end of the phase, ranged weapons equipped by models in that unit have the Assault, Heavy, and Ignores cover abilities.
Ooh, okay.
Really good, yeah.
Yeah.
I think this is a really great stratagem. So the fact that you can obviously run and shoot a unit with assault weapons. You could stand still with some weapons and make them better. Ignores cover is fantastic as well. There's just a plethora of reasons I think this is a really great stratagem. So definitely.
I think that's fantastic. Really good. Good for mission play as well.
Yeah, 100%. Next, we've got Unbreakable Lines. This is probably one of the most useful stratagems in the whole book, related around 1 unit in particular,
right?
In my opinion. So this is in your opponent's charge phase just after an enemy unit has ended a charge move.
Right.
You select one of your units, and until the end of the turn, each time an attack is allocated to a model in that unit, you subtract 1 from the damage characteristic.
So you're getting -1 to damage in combat.
But only if they charge you.
Right, okay.
So, again, a bit of a caveat to the fact they have to charge you. But I think for a particular unit, mainly looking at these Deathwing Knights, which we will go into, and I will explain why this is so important, or even something like the Lion or tanks even, the fact you can use this on any unit, I think is really useful.
Yeah.
Turns your 2 damage to 1 damage. We know in combat has sort of been toned down a bit in if you were familiar with 9th edition. A lot of combat now doesn't sometimes feel as heavy.
That's true.
So at least having this sort of ability just sort of can neuter it a bit more.
Yep, definitely.
Would have been great if it was just fight phase, but because you have to preempt it a bit, your opponent's charge phase after they finish a charge.
Yeah, it's a reactive stratagem, so it's going to be very niche. If you're playing tower or shooting line, you're not going to be using it.
Because something you've got to bear in mind is that you've got to do it after the unit's charged, right? So if you charge 1 unit in, and you go, okay, I think they're going to charge more. I'm going to pay the 1 CP now.
Yeah.
It would have been better if, in my opinion, if it was, end of your opponent's charge phase, you can do this. Finally, we have a stratagem that, if you are familiar with any of these videos, or are a fan of these videos, and you've seen me talk about this type of stratagem before, you're going to know what I'm about to say.
What are you going to say, Jake?
1 command point, Grim Retribution. That wasn't the thing you expected me to say.
Okay, right.
Your opponent's shooting phase just after an enemy unit has shot.
Right.
1 Adeptus Astartes unit from your army that had 1 or more models destroyed as a result of the attacking unit's attacks. Your unit can shoot as if it was your shooting phase, but it must target the enemy unit that just attacked, and it can only do so if that enemy unit is an eligible target. Right. This is the first time we've seen it in Marines.
Yeah.
Okay, because normally your armies that have this stratagem, your Adeptus Mechanicus, your Necrons, your Sisters of Battle, your Votan.
Yeah.
Great strat. It's amazing. Like, I'm going to be honest, it's great because you have things like Desolation Marines.
Oh, God, yeah.
If they shoot you indirectly, you can shoot them indirectly.
Yeah, sure.
Really great stratagem. None of this, you don't have to be battle shocked. But there is one thing. All of these stratagems are the same and different.
Yes.
They all involve you either losing wounds or losing models or not losing anything or having tokens or anything like that.
Yeah.
Just for simplicity, can they all be the same? But in all seriousness, it's a great stratagem.
Great strat.
You're half expected reading it going, if there's a unit battle shocked in your army type of thing.
Yeah, I was expecting that to be the caveat for this one.
But this one stratagem alone, in my opinion, can actually make this whole detachment worth it.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay?
Definitely.
Because of just how powerful this stratagem is to be able to shoot in your opponent's turn. That could scupper so many plans. That could be a unit that's on an objective. They've decided to shoot you, try and get some damage. They fail it. You can shoot back at them. Again, if we were to compare the strats to the Gladius, I actually think it's a bit closer. Now, obviously, so if we look at the Gladius stratagem, you've got 1 CP to put a unit in any doctrine.
Yep.
That's amazing.
It's fantastic.
Okay, that's very similar to our intractable stratagem.
Yeah.
You've got the assault heavy and ignores cover strat.
That's your Stormer Fire. Yeah. So ignores cover on that 1 extra AP if you was taking a Gladius.
Yeah, probably a bit better in the Gladius for the Storm of Fire versus Fire Discipline.
Yeah.
But I actually think then, if we look at it from the other point of view, the -1 damage stratagem, the Unbreakable Lines, Grim Resolve, and Armor of Contempt.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a winner here. I think they both equally have great strategy.
They have really good play. I am glad that it's not all 6 of them are locked to Battle Shock.
Yes,
like
that
specific
would be really
things.
sad.
If that was the case, then this would definitely be nowhere near the Gladius.
Like, I'm all good with having a mechanic that is revolving around Battle Shock.
Yeah.
Just not me taking it.
Yeah.
If that's okay.
Yeah.
With everyone involved.
Or maybe what they could have done is saying that you could still you can act normally when you're Battle Shocked, or something. Basically, ignore the downside.
What
of
would have
Battle
been
Shock, right?
great is if in Grim Resolve it just had another little bullet point that said a unit can use 1 stratagem.
Yeah.
A turn.
Yeah.
Like if they're so you're still having to pick between these, but it would make it feel really, really good because then it means Battle Shock really doesn't have that much of an effect on Dark Angels at all.
Exactly. Whereas the OC1's okay.
OC1's good. OC1's can be really good for missions where you're having to score at the end of the game.
Yeah.
If they did Battle Shock you in the charge phase, for example, you don't get a command phase to unbattle shock.
Yeah.
Being OC1's great. It still means you can flip an objective. Let's say you've got a Storm hostile objective in you.
Yeah.
You fail Battle Shock. it means you can spend your CP elsewhere as well.
True.
So there's so many reasons for it. But yeah, I think in terms of stratagems, I'd give it a draw.
Yeah.
Which again, if you do disagree, put it in the comment section below. I'd love to hear people's opinions.
Most definitely.
But I think in terms of if we were to compare the two, I actually think it's a lot closer than the detachment. And the
I think the stratagems give this army real play. But I think if we're going to compare them both now, I think both of them. I think the Gladius just overall gives a lot more.
I think the Gladius is the most optimal way to run any Space Marine faction. This isn't just for Dark Angels, in my opinion.
Agreed.
I think it just gives you so much versatility. It gives you so much choice.
Yes.
It allows you to sort of more on the fly thinking. You're not having to pre-plan anything due to how the doctrines work.
Yeah.
I just think for that reason alone, you're probably looking more at wanting to run a Gladius with Dark Angels.
Yes, I agree.
But yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. All right, well, it seems like a decent enough detachment.
Yeah. We've spoken about the detachment enough, and we've spoken about all the things it does, right? I think we should go into some units.
Let's do it, mate.
With the release of Warhammer 40,000 10th edition, at Vanguard Tactics, we've put together the perfect course for you. If you're already playing 9th edition, but you want to seamlessly transition into the new edition, leave behind everything you know about 9th and understand everything you need to know about 10th, then this short course is going to be ideal. We break down all the complexities and give you step-by-step guidance on how to really make the most from 10th edition. We're going to help you understand all the basics of the game and then some top tips along the way to help you really get the most from your army and your playing experience. And if that's something you want to do and get signed up on our short course, which you can study in your own time, then do check out the links below and get signed up to our accelerator program.
Okay, Jake, so let's run through some units. So what's the first unit you want to talk about?
It would be very rude of me not to speak about the lion in the room.
The Johnson.
The Johnson, right? Lionel Johnson, for me, we got to talk about him. He's the most key model potentially in the whole army because he's the Primarch. So he's got a plethora of rules. A plethora. So he's got fights first and deep strike. They're his main abilities.
Right.
Obviously on top of O for the moment as well. So fight first we cover in a members video. So if you're not a member, make sure to go check that out. And we talk about how important Fights First is. But what that means is because of the interaction between Fights First, it means if he gets charged, and because you're the defensive player, you'd get to activate a unit with Fights First first.
Yes.
So many words first.
First
Legion, in fact.
Oh, yeah.
and he would get to activate. It means he's borderline unchargeable. Because he does so much damage in combat.
I would go as far to say as he is unchargeable.
On top of that, he has the Dark Angels Bodyguard. So while this model is within 3 inches of one or more friendly Adeptus Astartes infantry unit, this model has the lone operative ability.
Oh.
So not only can he not really be charged, he also can't really be shot. So
wow.
And when you do get round to shooting him, he's a tough cookie at toughness 9, 2 plus save, 10 wounds. And he does have the Emperor's Shield ability, which is he's also -1 to be wounded. He's a tough cookie, R. Johnson. On top of that, each time in melee, he makes a modified saving roll of a 6. You suffer a mortal wound after you.
So he's deflecting stuff back at you.
He is. He's just like,
Captain America.
Yeah, Captain Johnson.
Captain Johnson.
Captain Rock.
Captain Rock.
He's got a really good damage profile as well. So if we look just quickly on his shooting, he's got pistols for both of his attacks. He is also a monster, something to note. So he can be shot. He has big guns, never tire, but because of the pistol, he doesn't have to take any of that.
Yeah, sure.
He's got a 4-shot bolt pistol, hitting on 2, strength 4, -1, 2 damage. He's got a 2-shot plasma pistol, hitting on 2, strength 8, -3, 2 damage. And then he has the melee weapon Fealty. He will
feel
tea, right?
He'll feel the tea.
He will field tea. So this has lethal hits for his big swing profile. Oof. 8 attacks, hitting on 2, strength 12, -4, flat 4 damage.
Flat 4?
Yes. And if you thought that was bad, wait till you hear about his sweep attack.
Oh, God.
16 attacks, hitting on 2, strength 6, -3, 2 damage, sustained hits 1. Right? This guy can deal with anything. He can deal with your big vehicles or he can deal with your small infantry. Well, I say small infantry. It's 2 damage on that.
I'm in shock, mate.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And then finally, we have Primarch of the First Legion. So this is his. If you're unfamiliar with rules like this, you get basically 3 abilities. You pick one, and that's the rule you get.
Cool. When do you pick it?
You pick it in your command phase.
Oh, okay, nice.
So this isn't a battle round one. This is a command phase one.
Cool.
So the ones we have: no hiding from the Watchers. So while we're within 6 inches, you get 4+ feel no pain against mortal wounds.
Ooh.
For Adeptus Astartes units. Really good, that.
Really good.
Again, with mortal wounds being very prevalent in the game at the moment, having a 4+ feel no pain against them is just fantastic.
That's fantastic on your Terminators.
It is fantastic on our Terminators and our tanks.
And our tanks, yeah.
Then we've got Martial Exemplar. So while an Adeptus Astartes unit is within 6 inches of this model, each time they make a melee attack, you get +1 to hit.
Ooh.
Pretty good.
Okay, nice.
Good, very good defensive buff there.
Yeah.
Again, for your Terminators or even for any unit, really.
Yeah.
And then finally, in my opinion, we have the best one. All secrets revealed. Once per turn, when your opponent targets a unit from their army with a stratagem, but before that stratagem effects are resolved, if that unit is within 12 inches of this model, you gain 1 command point.
Right.
And they must take a battle shock check. If the test is failed, in addition to that unit being battle shot, the stratagem has no effect, and the CP still has. The CP hasn't been used, but the stratagem still is counted as being used.
So you can't then use it on another unit and try and get it off on that unit. Right.
So this is great. This is probably the best thing. So the first part of it is you just gain a CP if they use a strat within 12.
Does that count towards your CP limit?
I presume so, because you are gaining a
Yeah,
command point, right?
Cool.
So that's super, super, super good. So you're just getting a CP when your opponent's spending CPs.
Yeah.
But then for the fact of making them take a battle shock, and if they fail it, they then can't use that stratagem, is really, really good.
Yeah, that's really good.
Really solid. I think he's fantastic. He's nearly unchargeable. He's untargetable, really.
Auto include?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. I have another contender for auto include, and I think you take one or the other.
Okay.
Because of just how many points Lionel Johnson is. He's 380 points to put in context.
So he's quite points heavy, but I think all the rules and benefits he's given you, as well as being just an absolute monster himself, no keyword intended. But
what he gives you is something very rare, and that's a model that can just be completely independent and completely untouchable.
Yeah.
And I think if that's your style of play, I think he goes in.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
in our case for the competitive list, he is.
He's in.
So we've got Lionel Johnson. Next, we have his second in command. Used to be first in command. Azrael. So he received a very cool Primaris model.
Yeah.
And I love the model. So I had to
not add one here, but
well, that is our sort of take on him, and we made that a long time ago. Yes. So two things he does. The first thing is while this model is leading a unit, he gives you sustained hits 1.
Okay.
And at the start of your command phase, if the model is on the battlefield, you gain 1 command point.
Fantastic rules.
Amazing rules for 120 points he is.
Oh wow.
The other rule he has is the Lion's Helm. So models in this unit have a 4+ vulnerable save.
Oh, brilliant. Okay.
Yeah.
Right, sure.
Great,
yeah.
And then in addition, once per battle, at any time, the bearer can summon the Watcher in the Dark. When it does so, until the end of the phase, models in the bearer's unit have a 4+ feel no pain against mortals.
Right.
Very good. So
yes.
If we look at what units he can join Assault Intercessors, Blade Guard Veterans, Hellblasters. Now that is something that is really good.
Yeah, sustained on Hellblasters.
Infernus Marines, Intercessors, and Stern Guard Veterans. So I think for me, if you're looking at running Azrael, I would sort of more look at your Hellblasters and your Stern Guard Veterans.
Yeah.
The reason being is just because I think where shooting is so prevalent, having sustained hits on it is really good.
Yeah, definitely.
Having the 4+ feel no pain is really good as well.
Yeah, sure.
And then just the fact it gives you command points. So Azrael, he for me is a tied sort of has to be in the list.
If you wanted a cheaper version to Lionel Johnson, he's a good option for it.
It's very thematic as well that they're both up there.
Yeah.
And the only reason I would not recommend taking both is just point. It's purely a points thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Next
you're literally spending 600 points on one character or two characters.
Yeah, it would be 500 points.
500. Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, 500. Yeah,
it's right.
Sorry, my maths is not on.
I'm just doing it before the comment section does. So then going into this is the next key unit I want to talk about. This is the last key unit I want to talk about.
Okay.
The rest are all honourable mentions and stuff.
Yeah, sure.
Is Deathwing Knights.
Okay.
These guys are absolutely fantastic.
Ballers.
They are a lot of points, but they are worth it.
Yeah, I love the models for these guys.
So main reasons being, these are toughness 5 2+ safe models with 4 wounds each.
Right.
Their ability is Inner Circle.
Okay.
Not just as a standing Inner Circle, being a base.
I see what you did there.
Thank you. Yeah.
Nice.
It's also because they get -1 damage all the time.
Oh, on Terminators.
Yes. So, and 4 wound Terminators at that. So, for your 3 damage down to 2 damage, not making too much of a difference, but it means for 4 damage down to 3 damage means you need 2 lots of that attack.
Yeah.
For your 2 damage down to 1 damage.
It's a lot.
This is a unit with 40 wounds in it.
Okay? So much.
It's absolutely fantastic. Comboed with our Dark Angel stratagem for -1 damage if you charge, you can potentially make something -2 damage.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you can't you?
It's great.
Oh, yeah, these guys are indomitable.
Inner Circle.
Inner Circle.
And even in combat, they're not too bad either. So they've got Mace of Absolution, 4 attacks, hitting on 2, strength 6, -1, 3 damage. And then one of the models has the Flail of the Unforgiven. This has devastating wounds and sustained 5 attacks, hitting on 2, strength 6, -2, 2 damage. So either way, profile-wise in combat's really good. They also have the Watcher in the Dark, very similar to Azrael. So once per battle, they can have a 4+ feel no pain against mortals. Really solid overall unit. Key things for them. Any character that can join a Terminator squad can join this unit.
So Captain,
Ancient.
or Terminator Captain, Ancient, which you can then give the banner.
Yeah, so you can have a Captain in there for free strats. For Gladius would be super useful for free fight on death.
Yep.
3 armor of contempt, anything like that.
Terminator Librarian could give you sustained.
Yeah, that was going to be the
Yeah.
other one. Terminator Librarian, super solid there.
Yeah.
But overall, I think this is a absolutely fantastic unit and definitely a must include. I think you're taking a 10 of these.
Yeah.
It's a lot of points, people. It's 470 points.
So why 10, not 5s?
So I like the 10 just so it can blob on an objective.
Okay, cool.
Right? So you can just stick it there, and then all the stratagems you're going to be using on it.
Yep.
It means your opponent can't sort of pick him off like a bit. It also
Yeah,
means
sure.
like if you want to use a fight on death on them, it's the whole unit gets to fight on death
Yeah,
rather
it's
than
not 2 separate
you're
ones.
having to pick between the 2 halves.
Yeah.
So that's just my tip there for that. So they're my 3 key units. So go over them: Lionel Johnson, Azrael, and Deathwing Knights.
Okay, nice.
Next, we've got some honourable mentions for Dark Angels in general.
Sure.
So the first being just the Deathwing Terminator squad. So these guys are basically the exact same as normal Terminators. They
Right.
just have a bit of a different weapon loadout.
Okay.
So these guys can have heavy flamers, plasma cannons. They can have the Thunder Hammer and Storm Shield in their unit.
Right.
So
nice.
it means, unlike your Terminators in the Space Marine Codex, where they have to have Assault Terminators if they want
Yes.
to take this, they don't have that.
Yeah.
So really, really solid there. Love these guys for that. Samael.
Yeah.
So Samael's really, really cool. He allows you, he makes your desperate escape for units that are falling back from him harder to do.
Okay.
He
sure.
also allows, while he's leading a unit, they can advance and shoot and charge.
Oh, okay, that's nice.
Really
It's
good,
really nice.
really good there. He
Yeah.
combos really well with the Ravenwing Command Squad, which is just a more souped up version of your Ravenwing Black Knights.
Right. Sure.
So they've got better rules in there. So they've got +1 OC. They can bring back models, which is great as
Right.
well. They can hopefully intervene for free.
Ooh.
All these sort of things that just make them really useful.
Nice.
And then finally, for the actual just Dark Angel units, we've got the Ravenwing Dark Shroud.
Nice.
Now, this thing's actually quite cheap at 125 points.
Yeah, that is really cheap. Actually.
And it has an amazing aura. This aura is, while an Adeptus Astartes unit is within 6 inches of this model, models in that unit have stealth and the benefit of cover.
Such a strong combination.
Yeah, it's really good. And the other thing with it as well is it's toughness 8, 10 wounds with a 5+ vulnerable save.
Yeah.
And it moves 14 inches. So you can really just get it to where you need to. If you need it to
Exactly.
play some mission parts for you for any reason, it can. I just think it's a really, really solid piece. And I think it may be even another auto include in the Dark Angels.
I think so too, just because, as we've mentioned in quite a few videos now, shooting is so prevalent.
Yeah.
This army, it likes to see a mix of combat and shooting, but what
Yeah.
this is doing is it's giving you protection against your opponent shooting, right?
Mm.
Yeah, I think he's, for 125, he's bargain.
I think he's great. A few other units just to quickly go over that from the main Space Marine Index.
Yeah.
Hellblasters,
Yes.
Desolation Marines,
Yeah.
any of the Gladiator tanks are really good.
Yeah.
Outriders as well.
Yeah.
They're absolutely fantastic for Dark Angels with a few combos we can go through.
Well, should we actually look at the list that we've created? Should we do that next?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, Jake. So let's run through this list. So what are we beginning with? Who's leading the army?
So before all of that,
Right.
something we need to mention here is because this is a very rare thing for armies that we do have the 2 detachment options.
Yes.
So we've decided to go with the Gladius today with
Okay.
this. More for, if you've been following during the video, the reasons why we just feel the stratagems are better, the enhancements are better, some of the
Yeah.
combos can be better. But it doesn't mean that the other one isn't as, it's
yeah.
completely useless. It just means this is the way we wanted to go with our competitive list.
Exactly.
So leading the line, the Warlord today, we've gone with Lionel Johnson.
The big Johnson himself.
Yeah, so we thought, one, it'd be cool to have him in the list.
Mm.
He is the Primarch after all.
Exactly.
But 2, for all the other reasons we listed regarding, obviously, his ability just to be able to hold a point, do all these things.
He
It's
literally
nearly unkillable, really.
Exactly. He literally has pretty much all the best roles in the game stacked into his profile, really, doesn't he? So
Yeah,
he's definitely there for competitive reasons as well.
completely competitive reasons, yeah.
Yeah.
So next we've actually got 2 lieutenants with combi weapons.
Yes.
Now, the reason for this is because, 1, lone operative, cheap
Yep.
lone operative. We love lone operative here at Vanguard Tactics. Again, we did a members video on lone operative as a whole, so that you can go check out on our members side.
Exactly.
But these 2 guys, they allow you to do 2 things.
Right.
The first thing they do is that they give you some sort of dictation around objectives.
Mhm.
So, putting them on objectives so then you can hold points, because you will notice a bit of a theme here is that we're a bit tight on units here.
Right. Yeah.
Just because of how expensive a lot of them are.
Yeah. Sure.
So having this sort of thing is really good. The other thing is how it actually combos with Lionel Johnson.
Mhm.
So due to the fact of the lieutenant with combi weapon is a lone operator, it means that you can stick them on an objective as an example, and
Yep.
you can stick Lionel Johnson next to them.
Mhm.
Because they are an Adeptus Astartes infantry unit, they now both become lone operative.
Right, okay. So we're
Right.
making use of both rules of
Yeah.
the units just to make it
And if you stick the lieutenant 3 inches away from Lionel Johnson backwards, you then essentially have to be within 15 to get that one
True.
to shoot him off to then stop Lionel Johnson
Exactly.
being a lone operative.
Exactly.
So just really solid there. A little bit of tippet there, a bit of play you can do with that. Next, we've got a Primaris Apothecary with a Bolter Discipline enhancement.
I think I can see where this one's going.
Really, really solid here. It's a staple of most Marine armies, so no reason why it shouldn't be for our Gladius.
Exactly. Exactly.
We have no battle line,
Okay.
no dedicated transports.
Right, sure.
But what we do have is we have 10 Deathwing Knights.
Right, okay, yeah.
So again, we spoke about why we think they're so good. They've just got really tanky unit, really solid. You can sit them in the middle of the battlefield, hold that objective, just bunker down a point, just be just a genuine, just massive anchor, and a big problem for your opponent as well.
Exactly, exactly.
Next, we've got 10 Desolation Marines.
Yep.
Again, another staple. They're just so good. Their indirect fire is incredible.
Yep.
We like to combo these with our Primaris Apothecary with the Bolter Discipline.
Yep.
That's sustained and all that. It's just insanely good. Right?
Yeah.
There's so many reasons you can go over these Desolation Marines, and every single reason is good for them. So they can sit very safe. If they need to come out to deal with something, they can. But you may not need to because of the other units we have in the army.
What are they?
We've got 2 Gladiator Lancers.
Brilliant.
So amazing at killing tanks, really, really points efficient. And we've got a Gladiator Reaper as well to deal with our infantry.
Okay, cool.
So we've more sort of gone with the tank route just because of how efficient they are for their points.
Yeah, sure.
So we've got these 2 sort of big blocks. We've got the Gladiators and we've got all our lone operatives to sort of sit around objectives. And then finally, rounding out the army, we have a Ravenwing Dark Shroud.
So this is the unit that we alluded to that gives you stealth and cover.
Yes. So reason for this, you can sit next to the tanks and make them even tankier. You can sit next to the Deathwing and make them really tanky.
Yeah.
It's just so many reasons why this sort of particular unit is just really useful.
Yeah, definitely.
It just gives you that aura buff to make your unit safer.
Yeah.
That is 2,000 points. Now, you may notice we don't have a lot of units.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Yeah, so game plan-wise, we're more sort of looking at your sort of deploy, teleport, homers, cleanse type of style.
Right, sure.
Okay, so you're looking at, let's say we're playing a 5-objective mission, that take and hold style. You'd sort of blob this Deathwing Knight unit in the middle of the board. That can just do your teleport homers every game because it's not going to be shooting anyway, right?
No, exactly.
So it doesn't need to. And worst case scenario, if you need to, you can pay for fallback and do stuff. So you can still shoot, or so you can still do the actions. Or equally, you've got a few little units like your lieutenant or even the land speed that could try it.
Yeah, sure.
And then cleanse on the other objective, just so then the one that you're sat on the far left.
Yeah.
So that's going to get you a solid like 30 points on secondaries.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's like not guaranteed, but it's enough, right?
Exactly. You're getting a decent amount of score. You've got your units that are able to go in there and just score you points and hunker down on that objective and literally just go, I'm not moving.
Yeah.
Now you've got to come and deal with
it. The main thing is the primary game. You know, the fact that you're going to be pretty much definitely holding 2 objectives.
Exactly.
Not including your home field. So you're holding 3.
So that's the list we've gone for, isn't it, Jake? I think it really does. It gives us all of the elements that we look for in a competitive list.
Yeah, we've got a bit of everything now. It is a bit limited by it's more fixed based for its mission cards.
Yeah.
But I think that with Marines, they are quite expensive with some of their units, especially their damage dealing units. And you need a lot of them, right? So I think we've done the best with the tools we're given.
Yeah.
Guys, obviously, if you do have a different list in mind, let us know in the comment section below. Something else to mention as well is coming up on our members side. We actually have a bit of Dark Angel content come for you.
We do.
So first being a unit spotlight on Lionel Johnson himself. We're going to go a bit more in depth with him. Really sort of do what we do in our unit spotlights and sort of break him apart, sort of tell you all the reasons why he's good, how you could counter him, all the best ways to use him as well.
Exactly.
Which would be really, really useful. And then the other one is actually we're going to do a themed list. So instead of doing our competitive list, we're still going to try and make it as competitive as possible, but we're actually going to be doing a themed Ravenwing army as per requested by the members of Vanguard Tactics. So again, if you want an opportunity to have a say in any sort of themed list or you want to see us make them in videos, you become a Vanguard Tactics member to check out those videos and also just have a say in a lot of the content we do here.
Exactly. We want to be able to make content that you guys enjoy and helps you create the best armies and get the best out of the units that you actually own. And also don't forget to comment, subscribe, turn on the notification bell because we got plenty of content coming out soon.
Loads.
Guys, hope you've enjoyed the video. Make sure to put a comment down and we'll see you in a video very soon.